Just 2 teams stay undefeated. Can they keep their streaks alive? Find out next on the Inferno. And thank you for joining us here on the Inferno. This past week in college basketball, we saw #1 University of Arizona fall to unranked California, making Syracuse the #1 team in the country. Joining me on today's show is our panel, Lucas Robbins, Johnny Soto, and Miles Todd. I would like to welcome Joe Cortez to the show. He is here with our top games from this week. Joe, what were some of the major events in the world of college basketball this week?
All right, thanks, Madeline. Last week was a tough act to follow, but this week held its own. First up, we got the Wildcats at home against the Ducks. Oregon had an upset in the works for most of the second half, but they managed to choke it away in the last minutes, despite an off night from U of A's freshman phenom. Up next, we have the Wichita State Shockers against the fighting Larry Birds of Indiana State. Clay Anthony Early had 19 points to help the Shockers extend the nation's longest winning streak. And finally, we saved the best game for last. This one between the Aztecs from America's finest city and Boise State. San Diego State trailed by as many as 14 in the second half. Xavier Thames led all scorers with 23, only had 2 assists as you can see there, but one of those went to Dwayne Poley II, who nailed the game winner with a Boise State defender all up in his grill. Not bad for a guy who only played 19 minutes, huh?
Arizona State took on Oregon State Thursday night, coming out on top 86-82, and in overtime. They improved to 17-6 and continue to perform well at home. Panel, what can we take away from this Sun Devil win?
Like you're saying, Maddie, it was quite the thriller in Tempe, and ASU center Jordan Baczynski, at no surprise, led the Sun Devils with 7 blocks. Standout guard Jahi Carson led the Devils in steals with 3, and Pac-12 scoring leader Roberto Nelson of Oregon State was held to only 2 points in that first half, shooting just 1 for 3 over the first 10 minutes. Johnny, what's going on with the offense?
Well, for the offense, on the first half, it was a bit slow for the Sun Devils. They missed a couple shots here and there, but in the second half, they finally picked it up. It went back and forth, and then the 1-2 punch, that is Jermaine Marshall and Jahi Carson, put the team on their back and scored over 20 points, added some dimes and rebounds to pad their stats, and beat the Beavers in OT. Miles, what are the key factors of the game?
The key factors / game changers of this game were, like Lucas said, Jordan Baczynski.
Yes,
you know, he had 7 blocks, and not only that, he broke the Pac-12 scoring record, or blocking record, giving him 279 blocks. Also, the offense had 42 points in the paint, which was triumphed over Oregon State's 33 points in the paint. And, you know, they just did what they knew. Get in the paint, score a bucket, easy buckets. They got the win.
Wow, after all those games, we got to have some movement in the standings, right, Joe? Back to you with the top 10 teams in the country.
You know, not a whole lot changed up top from last week. The only change we see here in the top 5 is Syracuse taking over the top spot after a loss from the Wildcats from Tucson. Fun fact, they're actually one of 3 Wildcats in the top 25. Speaking of Wildcats, we got Villanova in at 6. And Kansas, despite those 5 losses, coming in at number 8. The Jayhawks are playing in one of the top conferences in the nation. You got to remember that. And with the state of Michigan wrapping up the top 10, send it back to you.
U of A being dethroned was a big surprise, and I bet the panel has some more surprises for us in the Players of the Week. Take it away, guys.
Well, for my player of the week, I'd go with the best performer on the best team in the country, and that was none other than Trevor Cooney, the guard who led Syracuse to victory over the Fighting Irish Notre Dame Monday night. We see here he was raining threes, putting on a straight shooting clinic. Notre Dame coach Mike Brey has had about enough of all this. He didn't call a timeout, but don't worry, Cooney's get some assists in there as well. There's Rakeem Christmas down low for the nasty two-hand jam, and the threes just keep coming and coming. And you know, Trevor Cooney could not be stopped. He would not be denied. He would finish with 33 points, a career high, and tied the school record for 9 threes in one game.
Well, for my player of the week, I got to go with DeAndre Kane from Iowa State because the dude had a stat-stuffing night against Oklahoma State. We pick it up in the opening moments of the game as he passed it to his teammate. Then his teammate lobs it up to Kane for the nice throwdown. Mean mugs an Oklahoma State player saying, yeah, I just did that. What up? Thanks to his teammate right there. Then later you see Kane at the bottom of your screen wide open and just tickles the twine with that soft touch. Then we fast forward to double overtime. You see Kane get that crucial rebound, set up for the 3. Nope, pads it to Naz Long as he buries the 3 to tie the game. DeAndre ended up with 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists.
And it's so sensual the way he does that stroke.
I love it when he tickles the twine. Anyway, I'm going with the guard from Indiana, Kevin Yogi Farrell. This man was raining threes all night long, as you see right here. And you know what? The shot clock just wasn't a problem for him. Not only can he score, but he's also got great vision in the court, as you see right here. He threads in between two defenders. Easy bucket, no problem. But like I was saying, raining threes all night. He went 7 from 8 from three-point land. As you see again, just nothing but net. Not only that, he went 8 from 10 from the field, and he finished with 27 points. And to be honest, I don't think without him, Indiana, there's no way Indiana could have won.
No, he just looked like Stephen Curry
I
out there
know,
making
lighten
the
up the court.
Thank you, panel. We know that we can look forward to some great players in this week's upcoming games. This week we have Michigan and Iowa. What does Michigan have to do to win on the road, or can Iowa make home court advantage count? Panel, what are your thoughts?
My thought is that the Hawkeyes are going to pull away with the victory, as you see from my Hawk, and he says I'm a Hawk, and he's got the eyes. The Hawkeyes are going to win because, you know, even though Michigan beat them last time, I think that basketball is a rebounding and points game, and Iowa averages more rebounds and more points per game than Michigan. Now, Michigan is a defensive team, so it's going to be hard, but I think they're going to be able to pull out a victory on this one.
You know, I must say that's probably the most literal drawing we've had on the Inferno so far. But like you said, what wins basketball games? Rebounding and points. And Iowa does it better than a lot of teams in the country. And you got to love those Big Ten conference ranked matchups. So I'm going to go with the Hawkeyes as well.
Yeah.
This is corn for Iowa, not just Nebraska.
Well, guys, I respect your guys' opinion, but I got to go with Michigan. Why? Don't look at me like that. Why? Because before losing to Indiana this past weekend, they were on a 10-game winning streak and beat teams like the Sparties, the Badgers, and Iowa. So that's why I'm going with Michigan.
Bruh.
Well, you can't just stop there. We got Texas and Oklahoma State. Can Texas keep their streak alive?
I believe Texas will be able to keep their streak alive because last time they played Oklahoma, they lost. But ever since that, they have been winning every single game. And on the other side, Oklahoma State has lost 4 out of their 5 games. So I'm picking Texas to hook up. What about you, Miles?
I'm also picking Texas to hook 'em with my Longhorn.
What is that?
The Longhorn.
Looks like a bunny rabbit.
Get over it. It's a Longhorn, says the guy who picked Michigan. Anyway, I'm picking Texas to win them. Even though Oklahoma State has some good players, they got Marcus Smart, Brian Nash. Those are individual players. Texas as a whole is better. They got better chemistry, and basketball's a team sport. It takes everyone to contribute. So I think Texas is going to win on this one.
Yeah, like we were saying about that chemistry, the last time the Longhorns lost to the Pokes back in January, since then, they've been undefeated up to this point on a 7-game winning streak. Assuming they beat Kansas State this weekend, they're going to keep on rolling and avenge that loss. I'm going with the Horns, too. There's a state of Texas for you.
We cannot forget about our new #1 in the country. Syracuse takes on Pitt in a rivalry game, so anything can happen. Panel, can they stay undefeated?
Well, with the likes of guys like Trevor Cooney on their team, yes, they will stay undefeated. Their winning ways continue. And yes, Pitt will put up a good fight. It's going to be a good matchup. But, you know, you got to stay with the Orange. They're going to keep their winning ways going.
Yeah, I'm also going with the Orange. They're going to be 24-0 after this game. The last time these two teams played, it was a close one, but since then, Syracuse has been on a roll. They've been winning a lot of games, and of course, they're #1 in the nation for a reason. What about you, Miles?
They're #1 and they're undefeated. I think they're going to keep them. I got my Q's team, because Syracuse.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I think Syracuse is going to win. You know, people compare them to U of A. They think Pitt's going to snap the winning streak. I don't think so. U of A, the only reason they had those winning streaks is because they had really close calls. Syracuse has beaten their opponents by double digits, except for Pitt and Duke, and I think Duke should have actually won.
No.
However, I think Syracuse is going to pull out on top. They're going to be fine against Pitt. It's going to be a good game, but they're going to remain undefeated until they play Duke again.
Good joke.
It's shaping out to be a great week for basketball. On behalf of Joe and the panel, I'm Madeline Hyman. Thank you for joining us here on the Inferno. And as always, go Devils!